week. Welcome, people, to another Friday where we've gone from summer to fall. It is raining, it's been raining, but it is not going to get us down. And Sebastian and I say welcome to everybody who's hopefully watching. If you're watching, let us know in the chat. Let us know where you are, what the temperature is like. And yes, welcome. And Sebastian, how are you doing this week?
I am doing great. Very busy week. We will see. I've been a little bit all over the place. And as a good communicator, wherever I go, I take some lessons learned. So I went to a concert. I should have enjoyed the concert, which I did. But I also can bring home a few lessons learned for communicators. But also very, very intense week talking about AI for advocacy, looking at the big topic for today, which I'm gonna let you reveal. Very, very excited to now do this for the third time in a row, and very excited. Yeah, let's do this.
Yeah, and we already got one very good couple of questions from Luis all the way from Brazil. Maybe we can pop it on the screen because it actually alludes to the topic we want to talk about today. Luis says, hello, Liora and Sebastian. Greetings from Brazil. I cannot tag Sebastian since the first event. I don't know why. It's probably Sebastian's settings. How to tackle this issue? I have seen members with under 5K followers performing far better than those with over 10, which is his case. What is the rationale of this gap? The golden hour, is this a myth? If so, what's the recommended time window before posting? What is your take on the serial reposter? People who keep reposting very quickly. So there's a couple of questions there. And let's start with the first slide, which is answering the first question that Luis has. And maybe you can mute yourself, Sebastian, because we have a little bit of an echo. And this way, I think that will resolve the issue. Yes, thank you. So, because that's the big thing. It's actually not completely new, but everyone started posting about that this week. The follower count doesn't determine your reach anymore. Your follower count, stop driving your LinkedIn reach. This post, this compilation of the data went viral on LinkedIn this week because LinkedIn cares only if you have what it calls topical authority. That means, are you specific? Do you have a niche? Do you share a lot of useful things to your audience? Those kind of posts go viral, of course, in combination with the funny posts also within your niche, and not if you have a lot of followers. There are people that have 20, 30, 40,000 followers and they have 0 likes on their post. Likes, not even comments, not even saves. They just have no traction on their post because they post about different things every day, because they have AI written posts, because they go all over the place, because the algorithm and people do not understand what their niche is, right? Because they don't follow the rules. And I put this on the slide. What are the positive signals towards LinkedIn AI? It is saves. Do people save your posts? Because saves show the LinkedIn algorithm that you have useful content, right? Repost. DMs, do they forward your post to somebody else? Dwell time, how long do people stay on your post? These are the dwells, the DMs, the saves are all signals that nobody else sees except for you. You can see it, and not the dwell time, of course, but the others, and also the AI, so LinkedIn itself. Also 100% completion, meaning do they read all of your posts? Do they read your carousel? Do they read your infographic? And then how much engagement do you have from people outside of your own first connections and followers? All these things LinkedIn considers very positive, and it's those types of posts that they give a lot of attention to, right? Now, what is not a positive signal? It is what kills your reach. That is if people see your post and immediately continue scrolling. Okay, if people don't click on more, if they unfollow you, obviously, after you post something, obviously, if people hide your post or even report your post, and there are also some of those surveys. And if they say, well, that was not very valuable, well, all those things obviously don't help you. Now, what is important is three things when you post. First is the visual. If you have one, text only posts also perform really well right now. But if there is a visual, it's very important that that visual is the thing that stops the scroll. But only the hook, the first couple of lines of your post, help them to click on more. So those two are the most important part of your post. Now, obviously, you then have to deliver inside the post. And if you want people to save your post, very short posts are not going to do it. My top performing posts are the posts that are short and funny, but those are not the posts that get saved. And those are not the posts that are getting me appointments, are getting me business, but they're good for tractions and followers. So if we look at the next page, we will then see who now sees your post. And this is a huge shift. Only a year ago, LinkedIn would show, and I hear a lot of people complaining about this on LinkedIn. Only a year ago, LinkedIn would show your post to your connections, to your first degree connections, people you chose to connect with on LinkedIn, your colleagues, the people your private, your friends. So that's why when you went on LinkedIn, you saw a lot of people that you knew, and it's like you could catch up with them, like Facebook, but professionally, right? Now, when you go on LinkedIn, you see only 10% of those people, and only 10% of your connections see your post. The rest, it's people that post similar things. LinkedIn is trying to show you things that you find interesting, but you might not find them interesting because, in my example, I post a lot about LinkedIn, but I don't want to read about LinkedIn. I want to read what my clients are doing. So I actively have to train the algorithm. Actively have to train LinkedIn to show me things that I like. And how do I do that? By clicking on the three dots on the right-hand side in the corner of the post and say, I don't want to see this. I want to see less of this. And similarly, to actively engage with posts that I do find interesting, right? So I have to comment, I have to save, I have to give a positive reaction. And that will train. And in a week or 2 weeks, you then have a feed that's much more interesting. Now, I want to go to the comment section because I see that John is joining us from the UK, where it's very cold, 14 degrees, but at least it's not raining. Hi, John. I also see that that Lakshmi is joining from Berlin. She was with us yesterday here in Brussels. Hi, Lakshmi. Good to have you. Johan is joining us from Belgium. Glad to have someone from Belgium here. Kushi is all the way from India. Nice to have you with us. And George has a big smile from Moody, Athens. I think it's Moody, I think means cloudy. In Athens, that's surprising. And then we have a question from John who says, what apps do you use to create visuals and carousels? The Think Room uses two apps, Canva, of course, but also we use, no, I will come back to me.
I think Canva is a must.
It's a must. In the app what we use, because I forget the name for a second. Sorry, Sebastian, what do you use?
Yeah, I was saying that Canva, and we also got that in last week's episode. Canva is trying to become the must-have tool for especially the non-graphic design experts. So Canva is definitely a must, but there are many others. Maybe now it got to you the name of the other tools in your tech stack.
We use Gamma for proposals, for presentations, still think for LinkedIn, Canva is very good. And also ChatGPT is amazing at the creation of infographics. Its built-in image generator is getting better and better. I think it's by far the best from all large language models. Do you agree, Sebastian?
For images, that's funny because I am going deeper into the use of AI for creative work, images, videos, and the idea or the consensus is almost anonymous that especially if you want to create AI generated videos, it's very difficult to create a very good video starting from a text. And even if you imagine are in the scenario where you have the perfect prompt and then you get the video, imagine there is something that doesn't quite work in the way you want it. Making that change in a video is already AI generated. It's an almost impossible task. So the key for AI generated videos is to have many, even like dozens or even hundreds of really good images. And then what you do is you animate those images and therefore creating the movie. And the best one to generate what it's called like contextual, like a contextual image, meaning that you create an image and then you ask to do variation on the same image whilst keeping the context consistent. The best one is ChatGPT by far. And then I use other AI generated or videos for generating images and video that allow me to tap into all the available models in the market. And I use Higgsfield. I'll write it in the comments because I really like that one. And also right now what I'm using, just if you want more ideas, a solution from Malaga, Spain, in southern Spain. We often talk about why it is important to invest in our own companies and our own solutions in Europe as part of this whole strategic autonomy debate. And there is actually one company based in Malaga that is competing with the big tech companies in the US, and it's called FreePic. I'll put all this on the, but now it changed the name to Magnific. So I'll put it there for you to take a look. And it's a really good one because it allows you to scale image and video generation. So there you go, a few tips and a few more tools to try for the summer, which I think is gonna be a very busy summer.
Yeah, I want to answer the other questions. Very, very interesting. Thank you, Sebastian. The other question that Lewis asked at the beginning of this session, which was about repost. I think repost, people are trying to be nice and reposting a lot of information, or maybe they think it makes their own account more interesting and sometimes they curate very interesting posts. It doesn't help your own account, and it doesn't even help the person you're reposting, because LinkedIn just has those reposts basically sitting on your account, and it doesn't, if you look at the impressions that your reposts have, those will typically be very low. There are exceptions, of course, but reposts have one of the lowest impression counts of all types of posts. I don't really know why the functionality exists. And moreover, if you repost something, your next post will also have a lower impression count, it seems. So if you want to help a post, save it. If you, for example, if it's your friend, if you want to help a post, comment on it, react to it. So that's a much better way to give visibility to that post. I think that was your question. I hope so. John asked, are carousels better or single infographic, single reverse supporting slide? The time effort difference is substantial. So at the moment, it seems that carousels are performing better than carousels, but it's always good to do a mix of types of visuals and assets. Let's go to the next slide, Sebastian. And by the way, Christina, we'll get to your question in a second. Yes. So I also wanted to talk about the way your post works, how long it stays alive, because someone shared this this high traction post that your follower count doesn't determine how long how much traction your posts are getting. And in that post, she said something that wasn't true, that if you don't get traction within the first hour and a half, then your post is basically dead. That used to be the case, but that is no longer the case. So I thought it'd be good to share with you today the lifespan of a LinkedIn post. This is from the algorithm insights report from Richard from the Blom. And I show it here on the right-hand side of this slide, because there are basically now 4 types of posts. And I think you probably if you post a lot, you probably notice this. So you have indeed the rocket. If you get a lot of engagement and a lot of conversation, especially from big accounts early on in the life of your post, so within the first hour and a half, then you get a rocket. You get a very fast life. It skyrockets, gets a lot of traction, probably has the biggest impression count, but it also dies relatively quickly. But you also have posts that don't do much, and I found that very fascinating when that first started to happen. But then maybe after a day or so, someone with a big account or very active accounts leaves a comment, and all of a sudden something starts happening, and that post has a longer lifespan, and that's called the builder. And you also have the grower and the afterburner. And so this is why you now see in your feed posts that are 2-3 weeks old, because something like this happened. And it's not always very smart, because you can see Christmas posts, weeks after Christmas, or Valentine's Day post, so it's not that the algorithm is always very clever about it, but that's the reason for this. And so you have to give these things a chance, because I hear about people deleting their posts if they don't get traction, because they don't want to have 0 likes in their, in their feed. Don't do that. Give your posts a chance, and these kind of things might happen. All right, let's go to the next slide. So this new feature, I think this is what Christina was talking about, that you can see per post how many people inside your own network and outside of your network had seen or had been exposed to your post. Has not been rolled out yet in Europe. We see this typically with all new features that they're rolled out first in the States, then in the rest of the world, and then in Europe. It can sometimes take 8 to 9 months before things are rolled out here. So no, we don't have access to it yet. I don't think you do either, Sebastian, right?
No,
but
no.
It should come, unless they kill the feature before it's rolled out here. But I don't think so. It will probably be rolled out here. They recently also rolled out some really cool features for people to book meetings on your account, which I use Calendly for. That can now all be done via LinkedIn, but again, not rolled out yet in Europe. All right, let's continue. And this was the best post I saw about AI all week. In case you haven't heard this yet today, AI. Who is sick of AI? Let us know if you still love reading about AI on LinkedIn. Again, you might be in a bubble where you are reading about AI, you're posting about AI, you're complaining about AI slop, and that's why you're seeing AI. If you engage with a lot of science content, there is a lot of other content on LinkedIn as well. Just make sure to find it, engage with it, retrain your algorithm, and you will see different things. But of course, there's a lot of AI content out there. Yes?
That is the problem that I'm having, Liora, or problem. Like it's more an observation, because I keep being exposed to a lot of content about AI, but I am more curious than only AI. How can I change my algorithm? Is there a setting? Or is it like you say, I just go and actively look for content and I start liking, and then somehow it will propagate to your algorithm? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, and also you can, if you have people that you find really interesting, go to their bell and say you want to see everything of that person, So that is something that I do as well. If some people are really interesting, but I'm only seeing some of their posts, turn on their bell. Turn on my bell if you find my content interesting. Put it on, see everything. So that's one thing as well. And then, think about what type of things you'd like to see. Go to Perplexity and ask it to find accounts about that subject. Go to check it out, book an hour in your agenda to do these types of things. And then, it doesn't take that long because there is a lot of good content out there. People are posting really interesting things. But, if you don't train yourself, you just get sucked into that loop of eternal frustration, which is a pity in a way.
Should we answer one of the questions from Luis about the images with this disclaimer, or with this mark showing that indeed your image was identified as being AI generated, and what's the impact of that? I to be honest, I think it does impact negatively, but at the same time, I come across in my own feed with a lot of images that have the tag, but then the the inside is incredibly interesting because, as we all know, you can generate a whole explainer using AI, and they are like very visual. And so I think I see both. But I always have the trick that I create the image using AI, using ChatGPT or the ones that I shared, and then I take a screenshot of the image, and then that somehow removes the tag, and I make sure that if especially the content, if the image can lead to deception or can be to misleading someone, then I clearly label it. But if not, sometimes I admit I take a screenshot of the ChatGPT image, and then I post it. The result, well, I think it's always about the content, right? If the content follows the logic that Liora explained about, does it get traction, does people save it, then it performs on average like any other type of content. But if not, then it will sit there with 0 likes, which is something really, really sad to see. But it's part of the job, right? What do you think, Leora?
Well, the purpose of that label is, of course, transparency. So just to take a screenshot doesn't really solve that issue, and that there's a reason that it exists. But of course, if the content comes from you and it's just you getting someone to execute it for you, I suppose what I would recommend is, I do think it performs worse. Not so much the infographics, but more the sort of fake imagery type visuals, and then especially if there's a CR logo on it. What I would recommend is that you have AI do a part of the image, and then you create a heading, for example, in Canva, you explain, and then you add a source. So there is a source of the image, but then it's not so fake. I don't know how to explain it, but that is kind of the best of both worlds. Yeah.
One of the tools that I use, back to Canva, a lot is an AI feature that Canva has to decompose like an AI generated image that, for example, is a visual, is an explainer. And then you take that image, you put it on Canva, and then you choose magic layers. I love that tool because it allows you to exactly say, I'm gonna fix this text, I'm gonna put this square, I'm gonna center it, whatever you need. But still, if you download it and still you've made changes, it will show as CR. So that's what I mean. Like in those cases, I do take the screenshot of the image because I have put like some of my work. So it was, let's say, like the structure was AI generated, and also when you're using Canva, you can going back to Canva. We're talking a lot about Canva today. But Canva is incredibly well right now. You just go and explain what you want to do, what type of presentation, and it gives you a pretty good starter using AI. So at which point something needs to be labeled with AI or not, when every single tool these days is using AI? I think, to me, I draw the line always when if I produce an image of Ursula von der Leyen, which I have done, dancing in the European Parliament, or doing all sorts of things, and I know that even if someone who is not paying attention might potentially be confused, then I label, I say, hey, what you're about to see is AI generated. But for everything else, to be honest, it's impossible to say AI generated when there are layers. There are 20% AI generated, 50%. So where do we draw the line? We have a legislation now coming up at EU level, which earlier this week, I think on the 3rd of June, was the deadline to submit. Everyone could submit. It was a public consultation. Everyone could submit their proposal. And I did submit this proposal as an individual. I said, labeling, yes, really important, but also it's very difficult that in the future, something that we produce doesn't contain 1% of AI. So are we labeling AI like the subtitles, for example? The subtitles on the clips that we're going to take from this chat today, those subtitles are going to be generated using AI to transcribe the audio to text. So do we need to label that as AI? those are the type of questions which I love, because now we are in the practical side of AI. Before we were in the side of being scared and being, oh, this is gonna take over, and there are certainly many issues out there. But now we are in the phase of, okay, how do we actually handle all these issues in a practical way? So I submitted my idea to the European Commission. If you are watching, Sebastian Rodriguez is the one under that idea, and hopefully we get really good and smart regulation around labeling and transparency when we use AI.
These are such excellent point, because obviously subtitles, it's still our content, so it doesn't make sense. It's just a tool, as you say. So no, I actually fully agree with you on that. Maybe we can go to the next slide, see what else we have, because we did find some other great content on the interwebs, on LinkedIn specifically. So the post of the month, I thought, was Robert van Tongeren's The Mother, the Dickhead, and the Massive Power of Tiny Impacts. It's a really nice story. I encourage you to read it. It's about his mother. It's a cartoon, if that's the right word, and it's it was just. It's the idea that small things can have a big impact, which is obvious, but it's really, I have to be honest, it made me cry. I wrote to him, I'm not crying, you're crying. And it was really one of the best things I read on LinkedIn this month. So I encourage you to read it. It had huge traction. 500 likes, I think, in the meantime, lots of reposts, which goes to show that LinkedIn is also a very positive platform. Not everyone's just complaining. And so I think he's a very good content creator. Let's go to the next slide.
Like I said also to my daughter and my son, please cry. It's the most human thing that you can do, and there is nothing wrong with that. And I
very human.
It's the most human thing. I mean, we have this, but maybe we can take a look at some of the questions on LinkedIn. I would really want to close the chapter on LinkedIn, if you agree, Liora, because we have questions on verification, how important it is.
I don't think we can close the question on LinkedIn. I'm sure new questions are going to come in, yeah. But quick question: how crucial is verification on LinkedIn post designed to game the algorithm, such as asking users to okay, so. Right. So how crucial is verification? Okay, I have an opinion on this. I did verify, I have to be honest, but of course it's risky. This is a big firm. You're submitting your personal data. I'm not going to tell you to do that. LinkedIn itself is saying that this will boost your impact. It will boost your reach. It's trying to keeps asking you to do it. At the same time, it makes it very difficult. If you live in Canada, you have a British passport, you cannot do it. Weird. Yeah, there are a lot of people resisting it. They still have good reach. You should probably resist it too. Then again, I did do it because LinkedIn is kind of my whole world right now. It's how I get all my business. So I did do it. Did I see an uptake? I am not even sure. We don't have objective data about it. They're trying to push you for some obscure reason. That's the best that I can say. They are saying it really gives you a 33% boost. Is that true? Is it not true? I am not sure. I don't actually think that it is. The post is designed to game the algorithm, such as asking users to comment yes to boost reach. That is no longer working. This is one of the things that LinkedIn is saying they are now punishing. Okay, so just like the fact that before there were these engagement pods, meaning you posted something, you sent it to all your friends, and all your friends would comment, and it would always be the same people commenting on your post. LinkedIn is now picking up on this and actually downvoting that post. It doesn't like it anymore. Okay, so that's one of the things it's punishing. The other thing is those yes posts, so comments, booklet. If you want to get my booklet, that is one of the things it's also saying it is now not liking anymore. Okay, which I'm kind of happy about. Yeah. So that I would also stop doing. Also, these sort of fake questions. Now, of course, you want to encourage conversations around your post. You want people to start discussing among themselves. So that is still a good thing to do, but do it in a real way. You have a real question. You try to make it real and not engagement bait, as you said.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of things. I'm gonna ask you towards the end to grab, like, for someone who is grappling with all these changes. Like, maybe towards the end we can do like a 2 minutes like wrap up. Like, this is everything. This is how you need to start posting from now on. I think that would be really, really interesting. If you there is another option. Yeah, it became annoying. I am frustrated because but I am at the same time, I say I need to double down on the reason why I was on LinkedIn on the first place, which is educational content to help people on my niche. So I just need to, before I had it too easy because I could jump on different things. I had like spontaneous thoughts, and those thoughts could travel far. But now I need to go back to the basics. There is another option, which is you can beat the algorithm, but saying, I am living it, and I am building something else. I'm building my own channels, my own data, which of course it's neither being on 100% on LinkedIn nor being completely out of it. I recommend this strategy of being on LinkedIn, being whatever you are, but always bringing people to your mailing list. To me, to be honest, I'll be completely honest, Liora, with you. Like, to me, what's saving me in the last few months, which I've seen like an important drop, is my email list, because I have had with the community that I run the most interesting content and people to talk to in years, and yet the traction for people to sign up to start the membership were attributed, I would say, 2 out of 3 from my emailing list. And so that is what is saving me right now from non-exit or not being able to reach people. Also, there is a lot of more competition in Brussels when it comes to communities, and I think all that affects, the market is becoming a little bit saturated. So there is also a little bit of that. But to me, this post was really good because it was funny. I'm gonna make it bigger. Try to make it bigger because it tells you how many times the gurus have said email is dead, and yet email, this graph that you say going up, keeps you have more subscribers on platforms like Beehive, like which is my favorite one, Substack, and similar others. It's going up, and the I can see on my open rates are going up, my click rates are going up, and I can control what I can control when I send it. I can control to whom. If I want to send to different people, I can segment my list in a way that I cannot do on LinkedIn. And so, email is dead. Well, I don't think one-to-one communications are dead, will ever be dead. I think we will somehow go back to those basics as well. Another thing that I found like really interesting this week is that it's an AI generated website. You can look it up, and it's also on a positive note, because I am a positivist. I think you are too, right, Liora? I think you are an optimist and a positivist, and here, this is completely AI generated. So the author simply said, create a website where you show to people why we're very likely to live in the time that we live today, and it gives you a lot of statistics and it keeps updated. So you just go to this website, the Wheel of History, and find reasons why we're living in the most extraordinary time in the history of mankind, and we're like very, very, very fortunate to be there. Those were my picks. What about?
I love that. Thank you for sharing. That's so good.
The third leg of this relation. Who is?
Yeah, I want to pop up Akshay's message who says, so basically anything inorganic is being punished. Authenticity is winning. And that's exactly right. And that's why I love the new LinkedIn. I see someone else saying, pity LinkedIn isn't cleaning up their own act and go back to the future and be the professional network it was instead of the wishy-washy copy it's turned into. I don't know who said this. I can probably see it on my own post, but here it just shows up as LinkedIn user. But I agree with Akshay that I don't see this as so bad as many other people, because yes, this is what it is. It wants people to share useful things. It wants it to go away, because the way it used to be was, I just changed jobs. And instead of saying that they were fired, of course you should, I understand that they don't want to say that, but it's like, I had such amazing time. I tagged this person and that person, and it was not authentic before. It was not. I'm not saying it's more authentic now, but it's more helpful. People are sharing useful things. I find it very helpful right now on LinkedIn, and it's a real professional network where people sharing real expertise. And if you do share that type of content, that's what's successful right now, or in AI terms, that's what's winning right now. So I think that's good. And I do think that there are a lot of people that are not posting, and they have their own critics in their own head. And specifically, this is based on research. I heard a podcast, and they mentioned those 4 people. If you can pop up the screen again, so I can see them. There are 4 people in your own head that keep you from posting. And those 4 people are the judge, the protector, the police, and the neglector. The judge is basically, when you're about to post something, the voice that tells you, that's stupid. Who do you even think you are? What if you laugh at? What if everyone disagrees? What if you're actually wrong? So that's the biggest voice that people have in their own head. Probably someone in your past that talked to you that way, or an early voice in your life, but now you've internalized that voice. And then there's also this, and all these voices, they in previous era, in previous centuries, they played a role, right? They were useful. They kept us safe, especially also as women. We weren't supposed to have a voice, so it was safer if we didn't speak up. But in this era, they actually are silencing us. They're keeping us quiet, and that's not useful. That's not helpful. So then there's also the protector. People might judge us. Better if we stay quiet. Better if we don't attract attention. Better if we don't take up space. Better if we don't say anything controversial. And the question is, what are we missing out on by staying invisible? What opportunities? Because, if we're not building up our own brand, then, things are changing in companies. People are being fired, and then you don't have your own brand to fall back on. If the recruiters are looking at LinkedIn, are finding active profiles to fill up positions. And if you don't have an active profile, if you don't have a thriving LinkedIn profile to fall back on, and you have to compete with the thousands of people that are trying to apply for jobs but are basically being ghosted, then that's a real issue. Then it's the police voice. You need to have more experience before you can post. You need to wait until you have more followers. You need to post after you've done one more course. You're not an expert yet. That's the police internal voice that you have. And then you have the neglector voice. You want to take care of everyone else. Especially communicators have this, right? They're posting for their CEO. They're posting for the SecGen. They're posting for everybody else, but they don't take care of themselves. You also have the neglector at home. I was taking care of his breastfeeding my child during my lunch break, but I wasn't eating lunch myself when my children were small. That's the neglector, but it also shows up on LinkedIn. Mm-hmm. Take care of your own profile first. So there are all these voices. Silence the voices. Give them a name. I call mine Fred, and when Fred is, I'm like, shut up, Fred. Yesterday, someone asked me, is your voice a man? Actually, they're not a man, they're a woman, but I just turn them into a man with a mustache. I make them small. I talk to them and I said, shut up, I'm doing this anyway. I don't agree with you. So if you have those voices, let me know in the chat, and we can have a funny name, maybe Bert or Ernie, or actually quite cute, but something else. Do you have an inner voice, Sebastian?
Oh, I've had that voice hanging on me for way too many years, and I talk a lot about it when I also talk about mental health. I think like a month ago we had the mental health week, and I was very active with an organization to talk, make sure that people have the tools to to deal with imposter syndrome and all these things that happen to the brightest and to the smartest. So if you are, excuse my French, you're like a damn F, like you're just going around and saying whatever whatever you want without double checking, etc. Those people are the most confident about and how dumb they are. And then here we are, like incredibly intelligent people, prepare, being in the right position, doing, like taking care of the impact of what they say, and being, respectful to others, being shy, and say, yeah, maybe the space is very crowded. When I was when we were talking, there was one person who wrote to me on LinkedIn chat, and then he said how even people receive. It's not that you imagine. There is so much hate online, and there was one person who shared with me a screenshot of someone else criticizing him in a very, very nasty way. I can say from myself, I received an email. It was in very, very high, like very, very late. So I don't know if that person was all right, or he had drunk maybe a few. Knowing him, he probably drank a few more beers than he should. And then he said to me the meanest message, the meanest. So I won't say the name, but my own Fred has a name and surname, and I come back to it every time, because he said to me, what you say is like is so basic, it's so common sense. I don't even know why you write about it. It's like reading you is like, it was so mean. And I said, you know what? This is the person that I'm gonna have when I read your post about Fred. Has a real name and a real surname. I block him from LinkedIn so he cannot see this, and I will shut him up every single time.
Yeah, because if people are confident, they don't need to be so nasty, Then they're confident in their knowledge. So it's usually, Charlotte said this yesterday. I had an event with her, Charlotte Kahn. She said, if people are confident, they don't need to put you down. Yeah. So it says much more about them than it says about you. But we still keep it. You still remember this. You don't remember all the positive things that people said about you throughout your career. You remember that horrible person, and that's so sad, right? Someone else said yesterday that her mother was a teacher, and every year she would get 30 people in our class, and 29 had raving reviews, and one person was always negative. And what would you remember? That one person. It's so sad, That's why I always recommend, if people send you something, a positive feedback, or even if you get a positive comment on your post, screenshot it. And I have a folder on my phone with all my positive feedback. And whenever I have a down moment, or someone is not so friendly, or even if I have my inner voice, Fred, being nasty to me, I just look at that folder, and it makes me feel better. John says something. Thanks, Liora. I have to go. Is this recorded so I can go back and digest? Fast paces, high content, engaging, and firing off a wide range of ideas and thoughts. Yes, it is recorded, everybody. You can always go back. Also to last week's recording. Everything is saved, and we'll also be sending out some snippets. On that note, maybe we should wrap it up, or was there anything else we still wanted to share?
No, I think that pretty much sums up what we have seen this week. Only if I could just say that I was I was in the concert that I said at the beginning was the Bad Bunny concert in Madrid. It was amazing, and I wrote a post about what I learned from it. But basically, it goes back to what you and I talk here, Liora. It goes back to the importance of the brand to build a loyal audience, an audience that cut across ages, tastes, and really elevates you as and your values. And so go to my LinkedIn and find out this picture. And there are a few thoughts coming from a concert that I should have enjoyed. But hey, once you are a communicator, you are on the job 24/7. And that's what I have to admit I did, but it was still a huge experience, and I would repeat it many times over.
Looks amazing. All right, thank you everyone for joining us today. Keep your questions coming and join us again next week. Thank you so much.
Right. Have a nice weekend.
Have a nice weekend. Bye.
Ciao.